Welcome to the next episode of the Tulsa Life podcast. We have the amazing, and I feel like already this morning, like all the hype around Johnie Hampton, it's real. Like you come to the office and you're like this superstar.
I appreciate that.
So we are so excited to have you on today and give us a little bit about who you are, Hampton Creative,
Sure.
just a little bio and introduction, if you will.
Well, I'm just a country boy that came to the big city of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and found lots of different things that I wanted to do, but mainly to go to college here and then start a business shortly after that. And I didn't come from a long family of entrepreneurs, so you learn on the fly as you go, and as you take the steps and learn things. We started Hampton Creative in 2002, so we're
Goodness
22
gracious,
years.
22 years.
Yeah, anything you do that long is.
But you look like you're like 25.
Well,
So I
have
don't
lots
really
of help.
understand how that math works out because you
Well,
look incredibly young.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But it's been a really good run with our agency and really serving our clients really well and making sure that we're connecting well, making sure that we serve hard and you're diligent and faithful, and those things pay out over a long time.
So when I think of you, Johnie, I always think of a servant's heart.
Oh,
Like
thank
I
you.
always think
Appreciate
of just like the ultimate people, like person, and just you're there to serve. You make people feel so good. Like
Yeah,
I want to be
appreciate
around you selfishly because you always make me feel so good.
Mhm.
So, on the selfish side of it, I'm like, oh, let me hang out with Johnie because he always brings the hype. So I love that. So I want to dig in a little bit today because kind of what we want to offer our listeners is to kind of show you like you don't have to be somebody like I love what you said. You didn't have this in your background. Like it wasn't a
Yeah.
business that was handed over to you.
Right.
You created
Right.
Hampton Creative
Right.
and were able to start something from the ground up. That is hard. And tell us a little bit, like you're an ORU grad,
Hmm.
you're sporting,
Yeah,
you're
of
sporting
course,
your
always.
team colors today, and I love it.
Thank you.
And we love ORU. We love our partnership with ORU. I love the people that
Yeah.
come from ORU. So tell me a little bit. You already touched on it briefly, but after graduation,
Mhm.
how did you decide? Was it because of the things that you learned in college, the
Mhm.
classes that you took?
Yeah.
Why marketing?
Mhm.
Why Hampton Creative? How did you decide to kind of go that
Yeah.
route?
Well, it goes back to I'm kind of an old school. When I went to ORU, I actually had a scholarship for design and
I can
graphic
see
design.
that.
Yeah, and I got into. Of course, that was 87, 91. That's when I was at ORU, so a long time ago. I mean,
Now you're really telling your age.
well, yeah. Well, Apple was just coming on the scene, so
Oh
there's
my
a
gosh.
relevant part of this. So I realized that if I was going to make it, I was not a good sculptor. I wasn't a good painter. I wasn't good classical art, and that's at that time kind of what it was. I was a really good visual arranger, which is a graphic designer. So at that time, graphic design was just coming on the scene, and so it wasn't until I got through that I realized that. I actually just moved over to the College of Business and got a business degree
Okay.
because I'm like, I'm going to starve to death if no one's going to buy my sculpture.
If I have to sculpt.
I mean, it's not going to work for me. So I got over there and realized that, and I felt a little guilty at the time, to be honest, because I didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs. And so I couldn't figure out, like, why am I getting a degree in business? It doesn't make any sense. Well, 22 years down the road, now it makes sense because I needed the design and I needed the degree in business to make both of those work. And so that's kind of how that all came about, but it wasn't the pathway that I thought. And oftentimes I feel like you take these paths and you don't really know what at the moment, like, why am I going
That's
this
true.
pathway? But I had to go forward before I could go left or right. And so that was really good, a really good lesson for, I think, young people that are starting out saying, gosh, maybe what I want to do with my career may not even exist yet. So that's kind of how I was, is that
You kind of created.
I was a little early
Yeah.
in really what I wanted to do, but I continued to pursue and continue to push. And it's amazing how God puts all of the things together. They
Yes.
all come together at the end. You have to continue to be diligent and faithful and work through that. So that's kind of my story.
Okay, so you graduate
Yep.
and then you say, I'm going. Did you go right into creating your own business,
No,
or did you
well,
work somewhere?
I worked somewhere else.
Okay.
I worked for another agency for my first 7 years.
7 years.
7 years, yeah,
Okay.
a long time. And was able to grow and learn into some really good, really, really good people that worked with me and helped me in my design pursuit. And so I learned a lot, things that I wouldn't have ever probably learned on my own. I kind of got a fast track on that because we were kind of learning together because graphic design was new. And I've worked on every Apple since the first Apple. So it's
you're a
kinda-
Mac. You're a
oh,
Mac fan.
crazy Mac fan.
I am
yeah,
too.
yeah.
And I feel like once you go Mac, you can't go back.
You cannot.
Like,
no.
Somebody today
Yeah.
came in and said, do you know, I don't work on Macs because our office is
Sure.
all Macs. We have a
Right.
newer agent and she's like, can you show me how to, and I'm like, oh yeah, you literally just go here. And she's like, well, that was easy. And I was like, you don't know how easy it is until you start
That's
using
exactly
it.
right.
But I
That's
love
exactly
Max too.
right.
So you were kind of ahead. You were probably really cutting edge.
I was on the head. Yeah, I was definitely way ahead of the times on that. And so that's why it was really good to have mentors. And that's why it's important for me to mentor others, is because it's just, you learn that someone gave you an opportunity to do something. And so it's my job now to go back and do that for other people. And so I see that as really a part of my gifting, is really investing in others and adding value to other people who really maybe don't even see their own talent yet. And I had some really great people who are Tulsa legends that helped me really begin to pursue graphic design.
That's awesome. So, and you do a great job of investing in others. I think
I
it's
appreciate
incredible
that.
what you do. So you 7 years in, and then you decided, okay, I'm going to take a leap
Yeah.
and I'm going to go
Do
build a
my own deal.
business.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
scary was that?
That was really scary because, again, not having that family legacy of entrepreneurship, I was like, what am I doing? I'm getting out of the boat and
Yeah.
I'm just going to walk on this water for a little bit. And that was scary. I'll just be honest. That was very
And
scary.
you had a family
Well, I had
at that
not
time?
yet.
Okay,
Not yet.
so
So Chris and I had not yet met. We've been married for 24 years. So we started the business 2 years after we got married.
okay, so you
Together.
were married.
And then 2 years. But what was interesting is the agency I was working for at the time decided that they no longer wanted to support their clients. They're like, we're not going to continue on with agency work. So if you want to take the clients, you can take the clients
Oh,
and move
wow.
on. And so I did, because I was most connected to those
The
clients,
clients,
being kind of the account services and also obviously graphic designer. And so that was really a scary day. I remember on the couch, we had lots of deep discussions at our house about, are we going to do this? But I knew that I was so connected to what I did, that I loved it so much that I didn't want to leave it and go just do another job. And I also had been watching enough to know that I had the skills to do it. With my business degree, now with design degree, and I had won a lot of design awards, I was like, I think we can do this. And so myself with 2 other associates started Hampton Creative in 2002.
Okay. So 2002, which that in itself is like amazing.
Yeah.
And I just want to applaud you because
Yeah, thank you.
I do believe, and as somebody who's been in the same
Yeah.
situation and started from scratch and then just go, okay, we're going to cross the Rubicon.
Yep.
And that Rubicon, I mean, like it is a point of almost no return. Like when I do this, yes, I can go back and maybe do what I did before, but it's never the same
It's not.
after you're trying to do it on your own.
Yep.
So you took that leap, you decided to do it. What was your first big break, and what would you say? Like, did it take you a long time? Did you did have some clients built in because you were able to retain some of those, which is awesome.
Right.
But what would be something if you were talking to somebody that was at that point in their business where they're fearful, because the fear is real,
It is real.
and the fear of failure is, I mean, it's a real thing and it can happen.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like was one of the biggest things that allowed you to go? I mean, was it your faith in God? Was it your faith in yourself?
Yeah.
Was it just all of the above
Yeah.
that you were kind of said, I can do this?
Well, my family wasn't real big in risk taking. And so for me, it was fighting everything that I had known, of what it meant to be a risk taker. And so for that, I feel like you can make calculated risk. Oftentimes we step out and you step out lightly and you decide, is this it? Is this going to hold me? And then if it's not, you take the foot back. In this case, kind of like you said, you burn the ships.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be all in. I've been an all in kind of guy for a long time. If I'm all in, I'm going to go all in, and we're going to do this. And so I think for me, in the first probably a couple of years, we had some really great success. We won some major design awards, and that kind of put me on the track of saying, okay, I think we need to do this, And then the clients vote for you. When the clients stay
Yes.
and they decide that there's relationship there and there's value in what you do, that was kind of a proof for us that we need to do this long term. And then you begin to build a little equity and you begin to make a little bit more money, and you decide, okay, now I can add on more staff. And so as the company grows, you kind of watch the success begin to happen, and you're just, always heart full of gratitude and never pride, because you're only as good as your last piece of work. So you're always earning everywhere you go. You're always proving yourself all the time. And even after doing this for so long, we still are in that mode of, we always say, we kind of look at Truett Cathy. He's got a fantastic quote, founder of Chick-fil-A, that says, if we will work on getting better, our clients will help us get bigger.
Oh,
And so,
that's awesome.
yeah.
I'm gonna listen to this podcast again so I can write that down.
So we had that on our wall at our office, that for us, we realize that process is important. And so with a lot of our clients, we could, if they've got lots of options, there's lots of agencies out there. But with us, we could say if they really enjoy us and enjoy our process, they'll come back to us again and again. That's exactly what's happened.
I love that because
Yeah.
we believe the same thing.
Yeah.
And we run our business very similar.
Sure.
And we feel like if we do a great job by our clients,
Yeah.
they will give us referrals and they will
Yes.
come back and want to use our services again. And that's the biggest compliment.
It is.
So, okay, so now let's fast forward a little bit and tell
Yeah.
us now, that was back in 2002.
Mhm.
You started with you and two other people.
Mhm.
What does it look like today?
So we have been, agency work is always interesting. You grow, you shrink and swell with the flow of work. And the last 4 years, oh my goodness, anybody that's been in agency work could tell you, we've got the wounds and the scars and the tears and all of that, because it's economics do adversely affect. It also,
Oh, 100%.
it has been a lot, and that's where probably most of my faith has come in of saying, again, after 20 years, you think I have a right to
Right.
to success, and it's just not
And
the
it shouldn't
truth.
be hard anymore.
No,
it
it
should be easy
shouldn't.
by this point.
Right.
Yeah.
And you do have a measure of things some things get easier, but there is no right to success.
No.
100% no right. It is get up every day. You work just as hard as you did the day before. You have a team of people around you who support what you're doing, who believe in what you do. And that's a success. And I often say that the people are my success around me, because I had a client once say to me, you do really great work, but I think beyond your ability to do work, you select great people. You have great people around you.
Yes.
And that's the joy in what we do truly, is I have people around me that we're in phone conversations all the time. We are constantly supporting each other. We always say at Hampton, we win together, we lose together, but we do it together. And so for us, that has been truly the key, is the people around me, because people are to be stewarded. It's not, I don't use people as stepping stones. I often say relationships are God's currency, and not that we're ladder climbing. We are stewarding the people around us. And so at the end of my life, I'm going to look around. Yeah, I can have projects and I've got a lot of trophies and that's all good, but the people are the thing that I treasure the most. People and clients, but people especially, they're the ones that make the dream happen, are the people.
Gosh, I feel like mic drop right there. Like we're just like, we should just wrap it up now, but that is so good. And there is no doubt why you have been blessed.
Yeah.
And I mean, just your heart and the heart that you have for your clients and for people. And we were talking just briefly before we started, and how time is so important,
It is.
and being intentional
Right.
about that time. And I just think, I mean, even having you here today to help other people,
Yeah.
to say, I think what I get is hope. And I think
Yeah.
if you're listening to this and you've been in a position where you've been contemplating, making that big step or doing something like it, I love to take a step out, test it.
Yeah.
Like that's such a great analogy too. Like see if it's going to hold your weight, and then
Yeah.
make sure you're building that foundation so you
Right.
can take that next step.
Yeah.
And that in my head, I'm just like, it makes me feel like walking on ice a little bit. Like you're going to walk,
Yeah.
you're going to walk as far as you can. If it's still holding you, then you walk a little
Yeah.
further until you get to the other side. And I just think that that's, you dropped so many great nuggets today on how you've built your business and what you've done. So let's talk a little bit about personal. I want to
Yeah.
talk about the ORU side too,
Sure.
because not just what you're giving back to your clients, but talking about that time and currency
Yeah.
with people. Tell us what you're doing. I know you've got a big like
Yeah.
input and influence
Sure.
and at ORU. So now you've been able to build your business
Right.
to the point that you can allow yourself to be able to
Yeah.
go out in other areas. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that.
I think for us, it's always been real critical that, and I tell entrepreneurs this a lot, you give to people who can't pay you back. And
That's good.
that's rare that,
good.
we find, like, we had a great, incredible opportunity this weekend to work with a young 14-year-old who wanted to build water wells all around the world. And she had this amazing dream, and she's like, I want to do this. And she's a high school girl, 8th grader. And so we built a brand for her. We built a website. That girl this weekend had a launch party and raised 30 grand. So she'll build, she said she had a
goodness.
goal of building 5 water wells by her senior year, and they're already all done. So I love the fact that we were able to help her build a brand, build a site, build all those, and she didn't pay us a dime. I mean, it was more just to be able to do that. But ORU's a little different in that I'm paying back to the alma mater that got me out of a rice field in Arkansas where I lived, because I saw great vision. I saw people who wanted to do, one of the mottos there was make no little plans. And I bought onto that years ago and said, I don't want to be the kind of guy that just plans small things. Like I want to build big things. And so I've seen that with ORU time and time again, and be able to invest again in students that are there. I'm on several boards there. I'm on the College of Business board there. And so you're able to affect the direction of things, but also to invest in young people that are young hopefuls that we always say as we dream, little dreamers are watching us, and we have to own
Yes.
that, to know that as Aaron Catron is building something big, that people are seeing your billboards, they're seeing what you're doing around town and saying, you know what, it can, because she can do it, I can do it, you know?
So, well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
You've mentioned probably 3 or 4 different times
Yeah.
where you grew up,
Yeah.
how you grew up.
Yeah.
So again, you and I are kind of running parallels
Yeah.
here that we similar.
Mhm.
Did not grow up with a lot. Now my parents were amazing and always like
Mhm.
told us we can do whatever it was that we
Sure.
wanted to do, but it's probably going to be confined, to
Mhm.
kind of how you grow up.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in my town
Mhm.
end up staying in my small
Oh
town.
yeah, no, same. Exactly
And
same.
they don't dream big. They don't
Mhm.
think that they have the capability of doing big things.
Right.
And how much do you feel like you used your past to propel you
Yeah.
rather than hold you back? And what would you tell
Yeah.
somebody who's in that same situation?
Well, our small community really valued people, and that's kind of what I've carried with me all of these years, is valuing people. But also, I did never like that things in my small town never changed. I was like, that's
Still
bad.
don't.
That's bad, and that's not going to work for long term. And why can't you just change that? It's a little tweak here or there,
It
you
would
know,
make a big
make a big
difference.
difference. And so, to me, when we left there, I mean, I still go back and love my family so much, and some of my family still lives in that part of the country.
Same.
But it is sometimes going back a little bit, a step back in time, and so for me, it's been the people part of that I value a lot, but also just innovation, knowing that innovation is critical to us still being here after all these years. Like we continue to have to change and modify and move forward and ask questions.
And how much has your business changed?
I mean,
I mean, your business even
yeah, marketing is,
it moves faster than light speed.
yes, it does.
And the
Yeah,
things that, I mean, technology,
yeah,
and I know everybody's, now into AI and
mhm,
all we hear is it's taking
yeah,
over the world.
mhm.
We could probably have another podcast. We
Oh
should have
yeah,
you back about,
absolutely.
that because I think that with marketing,
Mhm.
what you do is so specific to
Right,
the people that you're serving.
right.
And, AI can be a useful tool. Are you
Mhm.
using a lot? I mean, like, how have you used
Yeah.
technology to build your business rather than
Mhm.
let it hinder your business?
Well, we started out as a design agency, so we were just pure design. But design controls everything, whether it's what you're wearing, what you chose to wear today, what color you wear. Design's really controlling all of that. So I realized if I hung on to design, someone had to design interfaces for things. Content, when we always say for AI, has been really good. It's better as a co-pilot, not a pilot.
Oh,
So
that's good.
we can use it for what we need. It's a time saver, and then we have to tweak because we still have to put your
You make
person
it
on that.
personal.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you have to do that. And so we use it to that degree. I think we're all kind of tracking, saying what's going to happen. Are you going to put me out of business?
Right. Which
Who knows?
I think the human element is always going to be there
Yeah,
for every
agreed.
business. I
Agreed.
used AI the other day. This is really funny. I mean, I use ChatGPT
Yeah.
all the
Oh
time.
yeah.
And we do, usually on like Fridays, we try to do something fun with the team.
Uh-huh.
And so we actually had a big lunch and a celebration lunch. And so I was like, oh shoot, like what am I going to do? It's last minute. And I'm the party planner, right? So Aaron has to bring the fun. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to do charades. We're going to play charades. We're going to divide up into teams and literally threw into ChatGPT, give me 30 bullet points of charade, like clues or whatever
Sure.
they're called,
Prompts or whatever.
prompts,
Yeah.
for adults that are medium,
Yeah.
difficulty. And I'm like 2 seconds later, it was like, bam, there. And I
Uh-huh.
put it into a Google Doc and went and cut it all up. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, you put a lot of time.
You're like, yeah, I did.
Yeah, it was really hard coming up with all of these, so you can use it. And it's something that having that tool
Yeah.
saved me a ton of time. And then what our team got to do with it was amazing.
Right.
And we had, 30, 45 minutes worth of fun from something that took less than 2 minutes to
Yeah.
do. So utilizing it, understanding it, leveraging it.
Right.
I think that's where the people that are using AI,
Yeah.
Chat GPT, whatever you want to call, whatever vehicle you're using can be powerful.
Right.
So,
And there's still creativity involved in that. So even as you use AI, there's creativity that has to be involved in the prompts you give it.
right.
So it's still there's
I did have to
some brain
change it up
behind
a
it.
little bit and say, make these not like,
racy.
racy. Yeah. Because some of them are like, wait, what is
What?
that? And there was one clue and I was like, oh my gosh, I did not know that was
Yeah.
what that meant. And so anyway, so you still have to,
Yeah.
kind of
Of
make sure
course.
that you're looking at that and auditing in that. So, Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up, but I just love so much, your heart, what you're giving back to the community, what you're giving back to your school, how you're helping other people, and you have an amazing business. Like your name in, not even just the Tulsa area. You've done big contracts for things,
Yeah,
nationwide.
sure.
That has been incredible. And I remember, I feel like when we first met you, you were doing the SeaWorld, all of the SeaWorld
Yeah,
stuff.
we're doing a lot of park work right now. Matter of fact, two of our parks, we have a zoo in Indiana called Fort Wayne Children's Zoo, and we just won USA Today's top 10 attractions, and it was the design that we had done. In the same way for a park in the Northeast called, that one is Kennywood. We won one of the top attractions for USA Today for this year for their roller coaster we did for them. So it's just, again, in this business, you just never know what you're going
No.
to find yourself into, but it's just fun. Every day is fun. And again, the teamwork part of that is what makes it fun. The work is fun, but the people, I mean, we laugh a lot. We laugh a lot at work because when you're in client work, there's some
It's
crazy,
tough.
there's some crazy stuff that happens and we just have to laugh it off and move on to the next thing.
Amen to that.
But it's fun.
So wrapping this up,
Yeah.
tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Sure.
And really the scope of what you can do. Like I love that you mentioned that you built the websites,
Yeah.
that you did a whole branding for, the 14-year-old that was
Yeah.
doing the wells. But I mean, when you think marketing, that's pretty much anything that anybody needs to have promoted.
Yeah. So mostly we are a branding agency. So that's ground floor of everything. I mean, if your brand wasn't out there, no one would know. I mean, you've really coined a great phrase and good as sold. Like you just can't, that's just brilliant. So those are the kinds of things we do. But so then branding, a web, placemaking, a term we've used, but really is a space between where an architect lives and interior designer lives. So it's where brand is.
Okay.
And so that's a term we've been using quite a bit, learned from our friends at Disney on that one.
I like that.
But anyway, you can reach out to us at hamptoncreative.com, or you can also reach out to me personally at Johnie Creative. And that's kind of where we are.
I love that. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
being
thanks for
here
having me.
today.
Really
It's
means a
been
lot.
wonderful, and I don't want to stop. I
No,
just want
it's
to keep
good.
going
It's
because
good.
you're so
Thank you.
amazing. But
Thank you.
we'll catch you the next time on the next episode.